Hello, my friends. Today we are going to talk about the World Cup. It is the first eighth final, the Brazil against Chile, or the Mayan Empire against the Inca Empire. As you know, we had three great powers in the Americas. We had the Aztec Empire, which started in Mexico and extended southwards towards the Central America and Colombia. And we had at the south the Mayan Empire, which was the largest empire. The Aztec Empire was the most technology advanced, and their capital were at Tenochtitlan and Teotihuacan. Tenochtitlan was the technological capital of the Aztec Empire, and it is said that its streets were paved with gold, and the city was based on an island in the middle of a great lake. So we had the Mayan Empire in the south, which began in Colombia, but later Colombia was conquered by the Aztec Empire. There were constant wars between these three empires, and expanded southwards in Brazil, and we have the largest number of Mayans. Actually, Brazil is the largest country in South America. It occupies about 2/3 of the South American continent, but in the old times the Mayan Empire occupied about 9/10 or 8/10 of the continent. And in the west we have the Inca Empire, which was the richest empire. So the Aztecs were the most technologically advanced, the Mayans were the largest. It was like a Roman empire of the times, until the 1500s, when they were conquered by Spain, and of course if Spanish and Portuguese did not come in the 16th century and 15th century, in 100 or 200 years the Mayans, the Incas and the Aztecs would have conquered Europe, because Europe at that time was in a crisis of gold and money and resources, basically, and the Dark Age would have collapsed into an even greater Dark Age because of the lack of resources, and also because of the Small Ice Age, which was in the 1100s till 1249, if I remember correctly. It was the age of Camelot in these times in London. So the Inca Empire stretched from the southern point of the continent, from the Fire Country, where you can find, or rather Magellan found those people, which they say, one of his sailors said that he isn't sure if they are male or female because they are all naked. And so they expanded north to the west side of that array of mountains, which are very tall, and they formed the Inca Empire, and they had large mines of gold, and also they expanded eastwards into Argentina. So Chile and Argentina is the Inca Empire, Brazil and Colombia and Uruguay are the Mayan Empire, Mexico and Central America, maybe also a part of Colombia, are the Aztec Empire. Therefore, if I may make a small correction, when my good friend Carl Johan Kellerman, although I'm not sure if he's no longer my friend, he has invited me to pay $2,000, $3,000 to go and visit the Mayans in Mexico. And I should have told you, the Mayan calendar which you talk about so much is actually the Aztec calendar, because in Mexico the Aztecs live, not the Mayans. And he said, oh, the Mayans are so much oppressed in Mexico, but I went to meet with the Mayan elders. They were actually the Aztec elders. And of course, all those symbols I found, the Mayan stela is actually the Aztec stela, and the Mayan calendar is actually the Aztec calendar. What is the difference between those calendars? Well, in the Mayan calendar, that old traditional Atlantean calendar, one tune is 400 days long, while in the Aztec calendar, one tune is 360 days long, or 18 uinals, or winals. One winal is 20 days and one kin is 1 day in both calendars, but you know, the Aztecs being more technological, advanced, had some movements made from the tradition in order to accommodate their calendar with those 365.24 days, the duration of a solar cycle, the revolution period of this planet, which is also my head, around the central sun of this solar system. So this is how history works. Sometimes the most advanced people, they forget about their ways. It's like someone from America, an American will come to Paris and he will say, oh, I came to Paris in order to visit the Russians. Because there is the same difference between the capital of the Aztec Empire, which was in Mexico at Tenochtitlan, and the capital of the Mayan Empire, which was approximately in Brasilia, in the Amazon jungle. You have to notice that the old cities and old capitals retain their positions, although they are no longer capitals, as Cluj, which was Napoca, it was some of although some is Zecetuza was the most important city, but also this city was an important one in this area of Transylvania, and it has retained its positions across millennia. So that explains a lot of things. If you remade the Mayan calendar with 400 days instead of 360 days, you shall discover many interesting things. For instance, we are now in the 4th day of the galactic cycle, the ethical cycle. People go from power to ethics. That is why we have this ethical struggle between terrorists and Islamists and Americans, Europeans and Chinese and Russians and so forth. And companies, in order to retain their power, they have to go to the power of ethics. Power of good or the power of evil. No. People of good and people of evil, as Ion Iliescu said 25 years ago, or 25 years ago, now in 1989 at the revolution. So this is how things works. We have now the World Cup, and I hope that Holland will win the World Cup, because it is their time. They were 2 times in the final and they lost, but probably because we play in the Americas. The American teams, you have noticed that most of the teams of North America and South America have qualified. The first 2 days we have 4 South American teams battling: Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil and Chile. And you have to notice that 3 of these teams come from the Mayan Empire. we also have Mexico, which has qualified from the Aztec Empire. We have the United States, which also comes from the Aztec Empire. Yes, because the Aztec Empire also expanded in the north, and all those wild men conquered by us, all those Indians were actually the tribes of Iroquois and others, were actually the low-end part of the Aztec Empire, because the capital of the Aztec Empire was in Mexico. And it is no small feat of history, it is not a mishappening, that the Americans never conquered Mexico. They have conquered Puerto Rico, which was a Spanish colony in the Caribbean island, and Puerto Rico became the 51st state of the United States of America, and the Americans are still expanding. However, or the 52nd if you count Washington DC. But now the things are moving forward. The history is always moving forward, my friends. And probably we shall have a South American or North American country from the New World winning the World Cup. Goodbye. Although I hope it will be Holland.